Welcome to Global Risk Community Chat. Today our guest is Ahmed Javaid. I'm very happy to have you here today, Ahmed. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to have me here.
Yes, likewise. It's my pleasure as well. So before we jump into the topic, can you briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Yeah, first of all, I would like to thank you, the Global Risk Community, and your good self inviting me and to share my knowledge and experience with the community. So I'm by profession a senior cybersecurity strategist, which is I'm operating in Middle East region for past couple of decades, starting from the big four consultancy firms, and then I spent some time in banking and oil and gas. And now these days when I'm driving cybersecurity business for one of the system integrator, and very much like trying to contribute back into the community as well.
Yes, sounds quite extensive. It sounds like you have quite a lot of experience as well in various fields. So with that being said, I would say let's jump right into the topic. So what would you like to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, today, considering the current technological evolution and the lot of like reliance on the technology, such as cloud adoption has been accelerated as part of the corona, and a lot of businesses have been moving towards the technology. More and more reliance is there. So I will be discussing a very important topic of today, that means how building trust in the digital age. Trust being the pivotal, the element in developing the strong relationships among the suppliers and the customers and the stakeholders. That's why I picked up this topic to speak of.
Sounds quite good. Then I would say let's get into it. Can you maybe start with share like your understanding of what digital trust is and also some key things about it?
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, I mean, I'll start with the very basic definition. What exactly is the trust is? When we look the trust from in a real life, we talk about the very human traits which are required in order to develop trustworthy relationships with the other, such as siblings, friends, community, and so on. So those traits, human traits, are primarily the respect, which depending on which is based on equality, courtesy, and the patience. And on the other side, the integrity of the character plays an important role in developing the trustworthy relationships with others, which can be achieved by exercising the transparency and honesty. And the third, foremost and very most important pillar of the trust is practicing empathy, understanding and others from their point of reference. So that is basically how we define, or the way I define trust in the real world. When we apply the same principle into the digital world, such as defining what exactly is the digital economy. Digital economy is, or any digital enterprise could be an organization which deliver their services to their customers through digital means, or it can be an 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 enterprise which uses the technology as its own competitive advantage for their internal and external operations. So, a very common example of a digital enterprise is Amazon. Amazon is the global name which has basically was established with the very basic principle of delivering this business services through the digital means to their customers. So what exactly we need to understand while developing a trustworthy relationships with your suppliers and customers while delivering the services through the digital means. As we understand that all the digital enterprises, they are comprising of the technological infrastructure which they are using to run their operations, to store the information, to define, to grant the access to the people. So the way I divide the pillars of any digital enterprise is that they are comprising of its own people, which are using the add digital identities like and different personas on that. And then on the other side, I mean, the whole enterprise have its own data to be protected, and confidentiality and integrity should be maintained. The third is the technological infrastructure, which is comprising of server, data centers, servers, and networks, databases, computing devices, the cloud platform, whatnot, which has been used to run your business applications, store your data, communicate with others, and so on. The other two important pillars of, I would say, a digital enterprise, which needs to be understand that the digital services side. That when what sort of services are being delivered and offered to the customers, that depends on a very much which industry we focus, which industry we operate, which industry which basically geography you operate as well. So there are implications of the local regulators, compliance requirements, and so on. On the other side, the last and most important component which I would like to highlight is the digital ethics, because there should be a means to define the ways that and how we can basically access the information, and shall we ensure the privacy and the protection of their data, and so on. So digital ethics actually ensures the cultural part or the responsibility of any digital enterprise. So in order to develop and ensure the trust worthy relationships with your suppliers and the customers, the people of which are basically currently operating in your enterprise needs to be verified with their authorized or with their defined identities. So now, how do we actually verify these identities? When we need to have a well-defined identity and access management framework, and the processes and the system implemented in the organization, which manages the complete life cycle of your identity and controls the access to the digital enterprise data assets. Second thing is the data which needs to be protected from any unauthorized access or loss of confidentiality. That needs to be classified based on its sensitivity, first of all, and then the appropriate security controls should be implemented in depending on the state of the data, whether data is in transit, or is at rest, or data is in use. Depending on the state of the data security controls are designed and implemented in order to ensure the integrity and confidentiality of the data. And the third one, which is basically the technological infrastructure comprising of the database layer, and then there's server layer, and then there's a network layer, and so on. That each and every layer needs to be protected from from the cyber attacks, and monitor any malicious behavior being performed or happening down there, in order to protect all infrastructure through the unauthorized.
Yeah.
And towards the end, the digital services needs to be identified and ensured that what exactly the outcome of those services, how the quality has been ensured. And the fifth and last point is that when digital ethics, any sort of non-conformities needs to be monitored, reported, and corrected. So these are the few takeaways or the key points of the digital trust in any enterprise, which we need to practice in order to develop the trustworthy relationships with their suppliers and customers.
Yeah, sounds pretty good. Actually, at the end, you also kind of went through usually the last question, which is normally the takeaways, but you also kind of went through with that. So yeah, with that being said, unfortunately, we have run out of our time. So I want to thank you once again for joining us today and sharing this expertise. I think it's a super interesting topic with, like the creating trust or digital trust to be more specific in this very digital, more global world. So thank you so much.
My pleasure for sharing this, my knowledge and experience. And thank you once again for inviting me and having me.
Yes, of course. And have a great day.
Likewise, likewise. Take care.